GingerGM.
Anyway, should we move on with the game?
Oh, yeah, go on.
Why not?
So anyway, hello to everyone in the chat. We'll get another chance to say hello to you properly, but let's have a look at the game. So, as always, I had the black pick. Well, not always, but I had black. And as
Probably
always...
50% of the time.
Generally, roughly, give or take. I played the Dutch defence. Now, the interesting thing about this, at the time, and some of you may have my chessball course on Dutch. If not, buy it, 'cause it's bloody excellent.
It's very good, actually.
And you haven't watched it, so what?
You've received wisdom.
You've just seen the reviews.
I have on good authority. Read the reviews.
You've read the reviews.
I trust them.
Yeah.
2 people can't be wrong, Simon.
2 people can't be wrong. That's it. All the 2 people who bought it. And nowadays I play the classical Dutch, which is bishop e7, castles, and it's all about where you put the d pawn. And nowadays I generally put it on d6, but in those days I played the Stonewall Dutch, which is d5. And I actually think for you guys out there who want a simple opening to play, this is a really good way to play against d4 because it's very solid and it's the only opening I think you can play against d4 where you actually get more space than your opponent. So if we have a look at a couple more moves, in this position black does have more space due to this pawn. But there is one very weak square, which is the square e5, because there's no way to defend that with a pawn. Every pawn move makes a weakness and you can't really cover that square now with a pawn move. So it's often about this square, but we'll just have a look. Some more natural moves are played. So queen c2, defending the pawn, and now bishop d6. I always like putting my bishop here. It seems like a bit more natural, controlling that square a little bit. We both castled, and now white played b3, which is one of the main ideas. This bishop comes here. And also the other idea, it often comes here. Now, I'm going to ask people in the chat, and I'm going to let Blair explain some questions as well.
We haven't talked about this, have we?
Why? No, probably not. I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah,
but why does white often go bishop a3? And actually, Gary Kasparov, Nigel Short played the Stonewall Dutch against Gary Kasparov in a game, and Gary Kasparov went for this move. Why is that? Why do people think the exchange of bishops? Because obviously moving the bishop to this square is trying to exchange bishops. Why might that help white out? Now, go on, Blair, you can answer the question.
Well, do you want me to try and answer the question?
Yeah,
well, I'd say
go
a
on.
couple of reasons. Obviously, I'd look at the position and say that the black's best minor piece is the dark squared bishop because it's controlling some of the squares like e5, for example.
Yeah.
So there's the potential to always exchange off if the knight hops in there. So if white can get rid of the dark squared bishops, it's going to look a bit, it's kind of like a really bad French bishop on the c8, the light square bishop. I was going to ask you what future that holds. I appreciate that's a bit of a tangent, but...
No future for bishop. No future.
Basically, if white gets rid of exchanges off the dark square bishops, the dark square is going to be really weak from black's perspective.
That's right.
And white's going to especially control that e5 square, which looks juicy for a knight.
Yeah.
Which colour you've already told me.
Yeah, I think also Martin Merry Hatman, who's over like St. Gibraltar, has explained it very well. And generally, you should look at your pawn structure because it kind of decides which your pieces are good and bad. If all your pawns, as in this position, are on light squares, then if your bishop is behind your pawns, your bishop, like in the French defence, which I also play, is a very bad piece because it can't get out. It's like trapped in there, like in a dungeon, which I'm sure Blair has some experience of. And the bishop on the other colour squares is a good piece.
When you say I have some experience of it, you only let me out half an hour ago to do the stream.
Well, we'll put you back in the dungeon after this and we'll get you working on that black line again, eh?
Well, let's hope this stream lasts for a while because it's nice to have a bit of light.
Bit of air.
Bit of air as well,
A bit of air.
And a little drink as well, which is like
a coffee.
A rare treat.
A coffee.
Yeah, a rare treat.
We're actually, we're only going to...
I've exchanged coffin for coffee.
I've got so much work to do. We're not actually drinking beer at the moment. Maybe, I know, it's unbelievable.
We might have to have one later just in case. Depends how it goes, but we probably won't.
Maybe. We'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Anyway, on with the game. So
okay.
We understand the idea of this b3.
So we go on. So this is the idea. Get rid of those bishops.
So this explains your next move.
So I go queen e7. So every move has kind of a reason. And one thing I suggest for you guys, if you want to improve, when you're looking at the moves of the top players, you might not be able to understand their moves. Try to understand why do they play that, and it's always the whys. If you can answer the whys, you'll remember them a lot more, and you better use those ideas in your own game. So the game now continued knight e5.
I know we don't want to take ages, but can I ask one question about before white's next move? Is there any sense? Okay.
So yes, you can.
Okay, just very quick. Is there any sense in white going a4 just to try it again?
Yeah, this is what
I
Gary.
didn't know this.
This is how the game Kasparov versus Nigel Short, 1994, rapid semi-final
I told you I'm a
of
good
the
player, you
world
just don't believe me.
actually played. And now the thing with this move, as I said, every pawn move makes it weakens a square. And now actually Nigel Short played a bad move. But going on the principle, and hopefully people in the chat can answer this, every pawn move weakens a square. What square has the move A4 already weakened? And again, this is kind of positional chess. We can't always do tactics. Blair is Kasparov.
I don't know. I'd like to say that even a blind squirrel finds at least one nut from time to time.
This wasn't, or maybe it was 86 actually. It wasn't the World Championships, it's a rapid event, but I remember because it's one of the first chess books I ever got. B3 is weakened, but that's not the square I was thinking of. There's another square which is now undefendable. Blair, go on.
I think we're
so
looking at
crack
B4.
on. B4 is undefendable. So in the spirit of positional chess, and if you played a Stonewall, because it's a very closed position, meaning there's not many open lines, it becomes more positional. The more open lines, the more tactical, the more closed, the more positional. So what move...
I'm taking on E4, E6 here because he's saying A5, but I'd go knight A6.
A5 is the correct
move
first. Yes.
Beaten by the chat, so
Well,
not so good after all.
Well done.
Well done,
E4,
E4,
E6.
E6, and I would have got that wrong. I'd have played knight A6 to go knight B4, but
This is well known to... I mean, maybe that's an
well known to
interesting
good
idea.
players.
Maybe knight A6 is also quite interesting.
That's very
because
kind, yeah.
but this is well known to be at least okay for black. Because if you get something like this, now you can take it.
Now
and
you can jump in with this supported
Yeah, I mean-
on. Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
both sides have one square, which is generally all right.
And the centre's really strong anyway. The knight on E5, as good as it looks, it's
Yeah.
not actually ready to
Subdued.
do anything
No, that's
crazy
right.
just yet, is it?
No, I mean,
at all, in fairness.
This opening is generally a slow build-up, and that's one reason why it could be quite good for a lot of people, because you can't really get in trouble quickly. You know, you get into the game, and this is why Magnus Carlsen, I think, started playing it, because it gives you a good chance to outplay your opponent. Anyway, let's move on.
Yeah, let's
There's a
move
lot
on
of
with
moves.
the game, indeed, yeah.
So white went in with knight bd7, and now...
So knight E5. obviously,
Knight
yeah.
E5, sorry, and I played knight bd7. I've got this problem with the bishop here, but this is always a problem. And now after bishop b2, I came up with an idea, and I think I was probably one of the first people to do this.
So I don't know if you've already given it away, but I
Yeah.
think we should just stop and allow the chat, and maybe E4, E6 will get this right straight away.
Yeah.
I don't know if we did tell the people the plan, but you know, what is Black's move here? Because this is kind of the key start, and this is the
Yeah.
key idea of why we're going to show these two games back to back, and
Yeah.
suggest. Were you the inspiration for Magnus? That is maybe the title of the stream and the question.
I very much doubt it, but you know, you never know. And I think Mary Hatman's been very. I mean, obviously he hasn't gotten the closing ceremony wine. He's pointing out some very good things. That the exchange of bishops in that last line was good for white, but it did make some concessions which black could get. Now I think Iyez Hamanurula is saying, isn't B2 also weak? The bishop on B2.
No, I think
Should
maybe
be-
I
should
think it
be
was the pawn suggestion, or maybe it was like I
Not
don't
sure.
know.
Well, knight e4 doesn't do much. Now, the idea of my next move is a bit how I got on later on in my life to pushing Harry up the board. Now, you can't push Harry in this position because knight g6 is losing the exchange. But often, when you have these fianchetto pawns, I started in my youth, this is when I was about 19, 20 years old, to always try to attack them. And this is where the idea of Harry came from. Thank you, by the way, for the gift subscription to...
Smooth criminal. That's
Smooth
quite.
Criminal. Can you sing a bit of Michael for us?
No, I can't.
No? Do you want
Anna,
to
are
try?
you okay? Simon, are you okay?
I'm
Are you
okay,
okay?
baby. I'm okay, baby. Blair, are you okay?
I don't want to be touched by a smooth criminal. Anyway, moving on.
Would you want to be touched by Michael Jackson's music?
This is inappropriate. Come
Music?
on. Yes, music, of course.
What did you think I meant?
I had no idea, but
Okay,
I just
good,
cutting
good.
off for the past. But
Good.
can I say about your follow move, and I'm sure that someone's going to maybe guess it if they're still out there trying to guess and they're keeping up with this. You're a bit of a forerunner to Alpha Zero. I noticed that it sort of did genuinely start using these moves almost in every game when it was kind of appropriate or even possible.
Well, I've always liked doing this, and the move I played here, I mean, I often do it on the king side,
That's true,
but
yeah.
when I have the rook behind the pawn, I often try to attack this pawn, and I often use this little guy, and this really is maybe one of the new ideas in the Stonewall that maybe other people played it, I've no idea, but this move in this position without a pawn on a4, and it kind of makes a lot of sense, yeah? You're creating a bit of play. And we can see how this pawn became very useful as it went on. My sources say was in London in 1987. Well, the World Championships was 93, wasn't it? Against Garry Kasparov, but maybe the rapid play match was 87. 87 sounds about right, because that's when I first started playing chess tournaments, and that's where I got a free book, and that's my first book I ever read.
What was it about?
Well, Kasparov versus Shaw.
Oh, I see. It was a sort of yellow covered one.
That's the one. Yeah, yellow, and it showed every move as you go through it.
That's right.
That's good for passers like
me.
Really
well,
good.
you were maybe you at the time, but I think those days are long gone.
Let me see if I can Google that book, because you can get it on. I saw it the other day, and you can get it on eBay. And I reckon if anyone wants a decent book, this is one of the first chess books I ever got, and I thought it was a really good book.
So it's a bit of chess. It's a bit of sort of chess history as well, isn't it?
It is.
So it's like,
what year was it?
I don't know. It was 1987. Was suggested.
Okay, so I'm just going to get.
Does that seem a little early for that book?
I don't think so. No, because I was about 8 years old when I saw the book. Here it is. That is right. That is it.
Oh,
okay.
There you go.
Okay, yeah, look at it.
There it is. That's the one.
Look at it. Look
Can
at
you
it.
show the picture?
Oh, look at that. That is the book.
Yeah.
Speed Chess Challenge. Kasparov versus Shaw.
And it was televised as well.
It was televised.
Would you credit that? It was televised. But I tell you what, it was televised in a day when you only had 4 channels.
Yeah.
So for a lot of people, one of the channels was kind of locked out.
I think you can get this on Amazon now for a couple of quid. And I mean, this is a great first book, because the thing that was good about that book before computers was that every move had a diagram. So you could be like, oh yeah, you don't have to use your brain much.
You could actually look at it without having to imagine the positions. You could actually go through it without a chessboard, which is probably quite handy.
Yeah. Yes. Someone saying my hair looks very nice today. Well, it's not Mohicans.
Are you sure they were talking about you, not me?
Sorry, what happened to your hair?
I don't know. It's gone, and it's not coming back.
We've got Perno. We've got Craig on the chat. Hello, Perno. Well done on a good tournament over in Gibraltar as well. We're just doing a quick stream so we can see the playoffs.
Well, okay, soon. So we played A5. We better not take too long.
No, we'll be here all day.
We will be here all day.
Okay, so I'll just show you how the game developed and how this pawn became very useful.
I've got to say,
if the
people that are still watching, I saw this game very briefly down the pub. I played it through on my phone, and it's a fantastic game. It just shows you Simon's capabilities, both as a young man and still as a slightly older man now. But
wow.
But this was a fantastic game.
India was good. I had a great time in India. I loved India.
Well, this game, as I say, anyone who's watching, pay close attention to this game. It is fantastic.
Well, let's have a little look. This A pawn now does its damage a little bit. Just watch the pawn. It causes little problems. Okay, so White is just trying to control the centre, but White is not doing so much. And now the pawn comes in. You might be thinking, what have I done with this? Well, I can try to swap off the dark square bishop, given a chance. And now that the bishop goes back, White has less control of the central squares, and it kind of is about this. And now we attack on the other side of the board. And funnily enough, G5 is quite a good move here. Now, generally, you don't play G5 if there's lots of open lines, because it weakens your king. But as the centre is all closed up, G5 is actually a pretty decent move here. And the game continued. White went back in the middle. And now I just brought my queen over.
So I guess your plan is now you'll switch to sort of your classic attack on the king side plan.
Yeah, a little bit of attack on everywhere. So we've done this one over here. Now I want to sort of try to attack over here. And C5, because my opponent's bishop is no longer defending any squares, I kind of want to open up the centre.
And it's also your queen now is almost the controlling piece in that diagonal.
It's very nice, that diagonal. So we want to open it up now because we've got better control of centre. And now it went bishop E3. Okay, so we opened up a line towards the king, which is risky for both of us. We get the king out the way, so every move has a reason. So I'm going to get a rook to G8, king H1. And now, well, I want to do something with this piece. This is the only piece I haven't got out. So we go B6 to think maybe get that bishop lined up against the king as well.
So it's interesting, only a few moves ago I was highly critical of that piece, and now it's going to be quite
good.
A formidable weapon potentially.
Could be good. So we have some exchanges
here.
And
obviously he shut that down, so to prevent your bishop maybe opening it up.
He doesn't want me to take there and me to get my bishop there, which could be tactical. He plays rook F3 so he can try to defend a little bit over here. And now, well, now I've got a target, and it's my favourite target generally, the king. I love attacking the king. You know, if I see that I can get to my opponent's king, we just start moving all our pieces towards it. So this is coming in. My opponent took on C5, and now went rook G8. Got a little threat. Little threat there. Lovely jubbly.
Because, as you have oft said, checkmate
does end the game.
Ends the game.
He went rook G1. He's got to defend that one. And now I took back on C5. and now he wins a pawn. But I do have at least 4 pieces on this side of the board, so it's not the end of the world. My bishop is not doing a great deal, so I take this one.
And also his knight could be covering a few squares, like G4 for example, yeah?
It
The
could
knight on
be.
E5, so...
So now we move into G4.
Okay. Thought I'd, you know...
And after rook...
I've seen the game before, but I forgot that.
And after here, the next move is quite intriguing, because I remember at this stage, one thing I think I'm very good at in chess is pieces. I mean, at the moment, there's nothing immediate that these guys can do.
Oh, God, if you're watching this,
So-
you've got to... I've just seen it. I was going to say Queen... Oh, no, that's not a good
So,
idea.
I mean, these guys are not doing anything. So my next move, I actually just want to get my rook to b4, because it just seems like a bit of a more active move. Because this bishop is defending f2, so I want to get rid of the defender of f2. I can't go knight f2 at the moment, because I'll lose a piece. But if I get rid of the bishop, and I'm doing that, I can play knight f2. So knight comes back to d3, because now white is defending that idea. And my last piece just comes out. Yeah, I'm pawn down, but all my pieces now are working very sort of well together, and my opponent's on defense. So, yeah, Queen e5, nearly brilliant.
Yeah,
I like that
I was
idea.
thinking about Queen E5, but...
This is nearly a brilliant move.
Unfortunately, the
Let's
catches
have a look.
with check, which is such a shame, isn't it? I was going to
I know.
say Queen
Nearly.
E5. I thought I'd spotted something there.
Queen e5, bishop takes, and now
I was
knight
gonna go
f2
knight to
mate.
mate.
Ooh.
Or mating.
Ooh.
Smothered mate, I believe, is a...
I've done stuff like that in the past, and then
Unfortunately, yeah.
then your opponent goes check, and
Yeah,
you're
it's
like,
check, and it's like, oh dear.
shit,
Yeah.
why do I do that? So anyway, so the game continues. We'll just show the end, and I just want to see if anyone gets the next move. So my opponent now played knight to f4, threatening my bishop, and what
Well, I
is
think you can give them
the
the
best
next move,
here?
can't you? Okay.
Okay, we get the next move.
Give the next move, and then
Queen h6, threatening checkmate, and all of a sudden the attack comes. And now
I think this is where we want to ask the people at home
h3 is the only way to
if they're at
defend against
home
that.
or if they're in the office.
Let's just show why. If rook to h3,
Now we can pull off our trick.
we can. So what move do we play now? Let's just see. So come on, Perno. What move? Had a great time. with
Perno's
Craig.
correct with his previous suggestion
Yeah.
as well, by the way. Queen h6. I appreciate you got that in before we showed that move. But
So what should black now play here? And now it's a bit of black magic, bit of black knight magic. Yeah, of course.
All right,
Next
listen,
to-
Memi, you're back on the case, so you're not so
we're-
stupid after all,
and
even
we're-
though you conferred yourself with that title.
Don't call our viewers stupid.
No, I said they did themselves. And I said
did?
clearly they're not so stupid because they've just spotted the winning move.
Or not stupid at all.
Not
even.
stupid at all, that's what I'm saying.
Or maybe
You know,
just
they're not.
mildly stupid.
Maybe just a little bit less, or more stupid than me. Less stupid, more likely.
Yeah, well done. Anyway,
Anyway.
we're only joking. So after Queen h6, my opponent only had one move. He has to go h3, and now
Now we want to hear it.
What-
I'm no
what
longer
was,
stupid indeed, Elias.
what
And
was
Memi,
the
4
boom
underscore
move? Boom.
42.
So what move did we play and go boom? By the way, is Phoenix and Perno watching today? Perno, I don't know if they are. You're probably at the venue, but
Well,
I have to
Garth
say hello.
Bartholomew as well on the previous answer. Jen's Chess as well. Shout out to
what
all of you.
What is the move to play here? It's funny how long it takes to show a game, doesn't it? I thought it'd be 10 minutes.
I know, I
Never
thought it'd be
is.
10 minutes as well.
Never is. It
Well,
always
we end up
takes-
getting
it always takes-
sidetracked, don't we?
I
And
know, we
talking
do.
about
Yes, indeed.
other things.
Yeah. Oh, it's not Queen takes h3, I'm afraid.
Bartholomew's on fire.
Bartholomew.
He's back again. Back to back correct answers.
Before Bartholomew, we have DMU
Oh, forgive me.
2000 as well.
I missed
And,
DMU. My humble apologies.
Yes,
Chat
I mean,
is flying past. You can't see that here, but there are people.
this would be a nice move if White had to take. No, it wouldn't. It still wouldn't be a
It
nice
still
move.
wouldn't quite work. But it's a
Because-
nice idea. I
because
mean,
of
there's
this
all
one.
these ideas, but
Because
you've
the
got to get
White
the right
King's
one,
here.
haven't you?
That's right, because now the White King has this square here always. But a much better move is, and well done for spotting it, or you know how much pleasure that move gave me. It's one of those moves where you sort of, and a little bit of wee pops
I can't
out.
even see how it works.
Well, you take there and a little bit of wee pops out. That's how excited I got. Just a little bit, mind you, not too
Hold
much.
on, what does this? What,
So how does it work? How does it work? Did you take there? So
I forgot about this.
So the idea
That's
is,
incredible.
if Rook takes Queen, oh, this is
Oh, look at
sexy.
this.
This is sexy.
End
Sexy
pleb,
chess.
end pleb discrimination. You do have some great usernames.
How?
End pleb discrimination.
What? Oh, well, we know your. I keep saying it wrong. I've forgotten how to say it now.
I don't end.
Barbary monkey or whatever.
Barbary
it is.
macaque.
Barbary macaque. What be your Twitch name, as well as I'm sure. Okay. Anyway,
No.
knight G3 would be the end. And that is one nice
Oh,
checkmate.
that's beautiful.
Nice, isn't it? Lovely.
So Queen takes F4 is kind of the decisive breakthrough. Maybe we just show the end of the game so we can move on to the similarities.
Okay.
So obviously he doesn't fall for that being a grandmaster and being a fantastic player. But unfortunately his position is still completely busted.
Someone said, I think I saw this before in one of my DVDs. I don't think I've ever shown this game, but I might be wrong. Well, my memory is not quite what it used to be, but possibly. I don't think so.
I certainly haven't seen it before, and I was incredibly impressed by it. I'm still in awe of your play at times, and this is certainly one of those games. Anyway, let's see the end. Because Black is definitely crashing through.
So the other knight comes in with check. Now, Laurent had to take it because if he goes King H2, this is quite nice.
Yeah, it's very nice.
And then wherever the king goes, so it can go to one of these two squares, it doesn't matter.
H2's mate, And Queen H6 would have been mates there as well, but obviously not against King H1. So
can I just put another little? Oh no, I won't. I'm getting carried away now. I was actually thinking if we do something like here. Oh no, I'm just being stupid. We'll go on with the game because we've got to show
the game, because we want to see the similarities, perhaps.
Well, basically, I'm doing.
So you're now an exchange up, and you've got more control with compensation, as the joke goes.
Exchange up with the attack.
And it's like,
after here, his king's still weak.
He's now a pawn. He's not a pawn down, but he's now. It's just
we've got everything rocking and rolling here, and the game doesn't take much longer. Another piece now comes in.
Now
Bishop
rook
E6
takes G2 with devastating effects.
Very nice idea.
And there's no defence.
No defence.
There is no defence now. And the white side are going to lose checkmated or catastrophic loss of material, including the queen.
Yeah.
We could just show this just to see how the game could have finished, and that's a beautiful checkmate.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I've got to say, that's a fantastic game, Simon. One of the best games I've seen you play.
Pity it was 20 years ago. You know, what happened?
Maybe when you got older and maybe you found other pleasures in life other than playing fantastic chess. But anyway, so it turns out then 15. So what happened next was like 15 years, I believe you said, past.
It was.
I think we've got a game from 2014, is it?
This was Anand, the legend Anand versus Carlsen, and the thing is, I remember this game I played against Fresnay was so long ago, and now just see how you can compare ideas. And let's have a look. So we go for, and this is how. So Magnus Carlsen has the black pieces here against Anand. So look, we have exactly the same opening here, exactly the same thing. It was quite funny. And this is 15, 16 years later.
You weren't
pretty much the same.
So Fresnay was his second at the time. Is that correct?
He was his
second.
Certainly
working with them at the time. He was working. Well, I know he was certainly one of his team. I mean, maybe not second, but he was certainly on the team.
That's right.
So there's there could be some circumstantial evidence at least to suggest that this may have been come up in conversation.
But I saw the thing is after these normal moves. Okay, this is maybe the first new move.
Yeah, because they went Queen C2 before at some point. Well, they went Queen C2 before at some point. But...
And now Magnus played A5.
Oh, here we go.
So it's quite funny. And look what the A pawn does again. It's the same idea. And I think actually Mary Hatman's made a good point. That in some openings, and especially openings where it's more strategic ideas rather than tactics. So ideas where it's closed positions, so tactics don't mean as much, it's more positional play. Some ideas will always be the same.
No, I can't like that. Mr. Dirty DNA, good artist copy, great artist steal. Yeah, I mean things aren't always have to be original, do they? I mean the point is, everyone's got to learn something from somewhere, haven't they? And to be able to combine ideas that you've seen by other players like yourself, players like other GMs, even you don't have to be a title player to have come up with some great ideas, do you?
No,
it's quite hard,
imitation is the sincerest form of flattery.
That's very true.
So that is the one, isn't it?
I'm going to get my hair done like you for a reason.
I don't think you can you? No. Unfortunately. Do you want me to buy you a ginger wig or something? Would that make you feel more comfortable?
Yes.
Yeah, what a little mohawk ginger wig.
Yes.
What about the beard? You're going to have to work on that and dye it a bit, aren't you? I'm afraid.
We'll work on yours and I'll work on mine.
Yours, yeah.
Oh, it's got their makings. Yeah. It's just a little bit.
Do people think Blair will look good with ginger hair?
No, let's move on.
Or maybe hair.
Anyway, back to the game.
Okay, sorry.
Let's not get distracted. And so Anand, having not seen, but maybe not being familiar with this masterpiece of Fresnay Williams, decided to put his bishop in the line of fire. But I suppose he needs to do that naturally anyway.
He kind of needs to do that. And now we have a look at how things develop, and pretty much the same idea. And just look what his pawn does again. So it's really just once you have an idea.
Is this transposed to exactly the same position?
It might well be, yeah. It's bizarre, isn't it? Bizarre that this actually.
I mean, the move order's a bit different, but I think maybe it's exactly the same.
Yeah. I am Bricktop. I wonder Do you think that? No, that can't be Mike from the pub, can it? I know Mike goes by the name Bricktop. And can you believe? I have to say, I don't know what you think of this, but I've got to let it out today. I got a text from a friend today, and he said,
"Oh no!"
And he said, because apparently Brexit is happening tomorrow or something, and he said, this is I don't know how to take this. He said, "Do you fancy coming to the local working man's club for a Brexit party?"
That's going to be some sort of like.
So they're actually going to have a Brexit party at the local club near me, which is like, a bit of rough and ready working man's club.
Sounds like a bit of a hoedown in the Cossacks, or whatever it's called.
I mean, I don't know. I think no. I don't know. Should we be celebrating Brexit?
I don't know if we'll be celebrating it. I mean, it's something that's happening. No, we don't want to over politicise things because I'm sure different people have different views, and they are somewhat entitled to some of them. Should we leave it at that?
Yeah, okay. Let's go. So anyway, so the funny thing is with this game, it's nearly exactly the same, and you can just see that this idea, and this is really the idea I wanted to show, this idea of pushing the pawn all the way here in the stone wall is actually a pretty good idea. And I
think you've got to just give a quick shout out to Perno. He's off to the closing ceremony. He wishes you were there.
Definitely.
So have a good one.
Yeah.
And sorry you can't see the end of this comparison.
See you later, Perno.
Enjoy.
And pity I can't be with there. Well, I missed last year's closing ceremony as well, even though I was there.
Missed? Was that due to a lack of an invite?
Yes, I didn't get an invite.
Okay.
Even though I worked there all bloody tournament, but we won't go there.
Let's try and retain our positivity.
We will do,
because otherwise we will be seeking alcohol desperately, and we're trying not to. Let's see what happens next.
But
so the pawn's made it to A3.
Yeah, I mean, I think really we can sort of stop here. I think we'll finish a bit blitz because it's just the idea.
Yeah, let's just say that. But look, can we just go on to say maybe just click through the moves quickly? Sorry that we're not going to commentate on this.
But the thing is, what I found nice, he now comes to the other side. So this is the last thing I want to say. It's like when your opponent has a pawn here, these wing pushes, and they can be so effective. And look what this pawn does in this position, and it actually works out.
And he does that sort of central breakthrough as well. He
does.
So he's kind of playing in every aspect of the board: the queen side, the king side, and now the centre.
Yeah,
it's all coming in.
But look who wins the day.
Who's winning the day? Yeah,
it's actually quite funny that at the end of the game, and just be a little bit careful here. But
Queen D1,
tactics.
and now the A pawn is not going to be stopped, yeah?
It's not going to be stopped.
And there it is. And obviously at such an high level, and through in the tower, because A2, A1, as Simon has demonstrated on the board, is now unstoppable.
That's right.
And certainly can't be stopped without, again, losing the queen, which is going to be too much.
So I actually
thought, amazing.
So I actually thought, Blair, I mean, when I was preparing for the last round at Hastings, I was going to give that idea another go.
You're playing Alan Murray,
was playing Alan Murray.
Yeah,
so
you played a good game there to come join third. Well, congratulations for that.
If you follow me on Twitter or on Facebook, I'm doing a blog post on that for chess.com, so check it out and I'll show that game up there. I think we're just...